for the studio is 658-208-8512. That's 658-208-8512 right here on Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band.
Thank you, Miss Isis. Good morning. Welcome to the program. This morning we have with us attorney at law, immigration and family lawyer. Michelle, introduce yourself to Jamaica and the Mequitalk family.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Michelle Fanger. I'm a Jamaican, born and bred, relocated here to the United States. I'm from the wonderful parish of Trelawney, and I've been attorney for over 15 years, practicing in Florida. I do immigration law, various aspects of it, where I do for entertainers, for athletes who want to get their green card, but I also do for family-based petitions. That's if you want to petition for your spouse or your children. And I do family law for Florida, where I focus on child support, divorce, and time sharing, and those things.
So, Michelle, tell me now, if a Jamaican is migrating from, oh Lord, Roots FM has got, well, if a Jamaican is migrating from overseas, from Jamaica rather, to the States, and let's say that they don't have a green card and they come over and, they're married to the long-time girlfriend and come up, how do you go about helping them?
Well, how do I go about helping them? Like once they arrive, I usually try to assist them with what steps they need to take so that they'll have legal status. Because there are certain things they have to establish to ensure that it's a legitimate and a good faith marriage, that you're not just getting married for the benefit of relocating. So I usually do the steps where I guide you through the process, counsel you through the process. Even after you've gotten your green card, I counsel you until you do get your citizenship, because citizenship is the only safe way for you to remain here. Because you could have your green card and you lose it and end up back where you came from.
How can you lose your green card that way? How can you lose your green card?
There are several ways. Like sometimes people make dumb decisions, like some minor criminal offenses that are actually major offenses that they should have used an attorney to address, such as petty theft. That is something major. A lot of people get involved in domestic violence. So I try to counsel people on that, like do not walk away, do not hit, and all those things. And you also have individuals, the drug trade is a major thing, that if it's for certain drug offenses, you're definitely getting deported.
Elaborate some more on that one.
Okay, so for certain drug offenses, like usually if for, say, cocaine, etc., like for some marijuana cases, they have changed the law somewhat. So they're not as strict as pushing for deportation, depending on the marijuana offense. But for certain offenses, such as trafficking, selling marijuana, drug, that is very serious. And it's an automatic deportation. So you usually go through the deportation process, but you're able to get out of it because there are certain benefits you're entitled to and waivers, but it's a process. So I always tell people, I encourage them to stay out of trouble. If, it's always advise them, don't get involved. Like usually when people get their green card, I always say to them, even before, I always say, stay out of trouble. You could ask my clients, that's a big thing. I always say, stay out of trouble. Once I talk to them, stay out of trouble, because you don't want to take that time, energy to come here to better yourself, to end up back in Jamaica, where more than likely it will be harder to survive there because of the stigma attached to being returned to your home country. I can't hear you.
Sorry, if you're married to an American citizen, and how long will it take for you to get your green card?
Well, it depends, it varies, because recently since COVID, if you submit a good application with the guidance of an attorney, usually you could get your green card within a few months. But if the application is submitted and they have questions in regards to your application, whether your marriage is authentic, then it might take a longer time to be processed. And also you have some areas that have delays in processing. So you can't put, because I have people where their they haven't gotten their green card and it's going 2 years or more. But it's because there are issues that, like they have highlighted, whoever has their case, and they want to ensure that it is a legitimate marriage. And this is why I say oftentimes it's best. I know some people always say, oh, we could do it by ourselves because this person did it, they got it. But not all cases are the same. And you don't really know if you have an issue. So even with me, I always say, even consult with an attorney first to ensure that you're on the right track, because an attorney can highlight an issue that might appear that you can address upfront instead of going through the whole trauma of a case. So that's the issue where some people do it, but there are some like real issues, because I remember like one case I had, one of the major issues was that the individual, before he came here on the work program, he actually, when he applied for his visa, he actually had on it that he was married. He had a common law relationship in Jamaica, which is not really acknowledged here, but for immigration purposes, if you put it on the document, they'll acknowledge it. So he put on it that he had his girlfriend that he was living with, he said his common law wife. But then when he came to get his green card, he never notified me of it. But then he put on it that he was never married. What people don't understand is that whatever you do in regards to immigration, you have a file. So if it's a visa application, your file is created and they pull that information for whatever application you do. If they miss it the first step, like some people might say, oh, I did it and they didn't do anything. They might miss it the first step when you do the green card, but when you go to get your citizenship, it might be highlighted then. So never say, oh, I got away with it. You never really got away with it. They could even give you your citizenship and review your file randomly and say, oh, we noticed this error. And then they take away your citizenship because they can do that, because if you were not entitled to it. Or you might decide to petition for a child later on, and they pull back your application and look at it and say, hold up, why I never list this child, but no, you have this child. You lied on the document. So these are things I say, like when you talk to an attorney, you're able to get a full view of any issues that might come about. Because one of the major things I always tell people, if you're not married, if you never go to a church before a judge or a courthouse and get a signed document, don't say I'm married because you have a common law marriage. Because it will impact you later on.
So what you're saying then, it's best that when you're applying for a visitor's visa, if you're not married, don't put you have a common law wife then. Just say you're not married.
Yeah, you're not married. But and just be honest, because you having a common law marriage is not like recognized here. So a lot of people do that. Another thing too, like people will not list their children and then be like, oh, somebody said leave off the child name, or oh, I'm not sure. No, always list all your children, because it's a document where you have to be honest on that document. You're attesting that the information is accurate. So when you neglect to list your child and later on, as I mentioned earlier, you decide to petition for that child, it's as if you lied on the document. So you're gonna have to explain like how this child appeared. Why wasn't this child on the application? Unless the child was born after. Or if the child was born before you actually applied, they're gonna want to know. So I always tell people, even if it's a jacket, there's something you think might be your child, list that child. It doesn't mean you're gonna petition for that child immediately, but list that child on the document. And just be honest.
So let me ask you this question now then. If for instance saying that you're already married, you're up there and everything, and you want to say petition for your mother then, and your mother was never on the system, what happened?
Well, it's kind of different, because when you do your application, you're gonna list your parents.
Yes.
Right? So usually list your parents. Sometimes at the time, some people, I have clients, they don't know their father's name. They don't know that information. So if you don't know it at that time, it's logical for you to say, well, I redid my birth certificate, which you could deed poll, I think that's it, what's it called, to add their parent name. And then you're able to fix that problem. Because a lot of people don't know their parents. Unless you were adopted. If you were adopted, you cannot petition at all for your parent. They lost that right. But some people definitely don't know, especially in regards to fathers. They don't know their father's name. They don't know the date of birth. A lot of them don't know the date of birth of their mothers. But one thing is important is that if you have a green card, you cannot petition for your parent. You have to be a citizen.
Hmm.
You have to be a US citizen.
So what you're saying then, if you were adopted by some people
Yeah.
and you're using their name,
Yeah.
you can't petition for them?
For the parents that adopted you,
Yes.
yeah, you can petition for your adopted parents, but
Oh.
your actually your biological parents,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot petition for.
Oh, because they're no longer your parents.
Yeah, they're no longer your parents.
Okay.
So, but the adopted one, yeah, if you're adopted, yes, before you're 18, yeah. And also the same thing with children, like stepchildren. If you are actually married before the child turned 18, it's a stepchild. You don't have to go adopt the child. It's a stepchild. You could petition for your stepchild. But the marriage has to have occurred before the child turned 18.
Mm.
All right? Yeah.
Can a person who can a person who is in the United States petition for their uncles or their aunt?
No.
Okay. It has to be immediate family members.
Yeah,
Like your
immediate.
brother?
And yeah, like your father, your siblings, you can definitely petition for. You cannot, as a grandparent, petition for a grandchild. You
Oh.
can petition for their parent, your child, and then the child would add them, but you can't outright petition for your grandchild. Because I got a few questions about that. Like, you cannot. Not yet. Like, no law exists right now that allows you. But what usually parents do, grandparents do, is that they'll adopt the child,
Mm.
which is allowable. Okay, you can adopt your child if you see fit.
So if all right, if you put in all your paperwork for your green card, how long does that take for them to go through it and respond back to you?
Well, it varies, as I said, because since COVID, they have put certain things in place. Like now, they have the hard file that they had to pull, but now right now what they're doing is uploading everything on the computer, so you could see everything. They can review it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, with some cases that they have cases as a priority. Like right now, citizenship is a priority because we have an election coming up.
Oh.
So they'll put those cases as a priority to see who qualified to get those done. When before they wanted to get people here to work. So certain applications, like if you're healthy, able-bodied, they move those quickly. So it depends. And if there are no issues, they will move it quickly. So your marriage one, as I said, if it's a comprehensive application submitted with no issues, where they don't have issues, then they'll process it. Even though they waive the interview for those applications, they'll actually send you the card in the mail.
Mm.
But for some cases, like it's random. Like sometimes I look at some of my cases and I'm like, it's a similar facts. Like, why is it different? But it depends on who is reviewing your actual case. But they're trying to move cases quickly because, as you know, the labor force is very low here, and they're trying to get workers, people to come into the workforce who are able-bodied.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tell us, if have you ever gotten some very difficult cases to deal with?
Yeah, I've had difficult cases. Too much to mention, but like usually gets difficult when it ends up in deportation. Like one of the most difficult and heartbreaking one I had was similar to what I mentioned earlier in regards to a father that bad advice. I always say you can't always listen to the village lawyers. Okay, people always say, I know I did it. They don't know the facts about your case, but they're like, I did it.
Especially us Jamaicans.
Yeah, they love to talk like they know. So what happened is that they advised him not to include his daughter on the application. His daughter was like 2 years old. And then he got his citizenship and then decided to petition for his daughter. But it was kind of hard to overcome because he knew about the child and he was involved someone with the child. So it was hard to prove to USCIS that he wasn't aware of the child. And what ended up happening is that because it appeared as if he misrepresented on the applications, then it impacted his citizenship, where it was taken from him. So those are things that to me, if he had spoken to an attorney, that would have been a simple 1, 2, 3, where add a child, simple fix. I'm not sure why somebody would tell him not to include his child on the application. So others that are very heartbreaking was that, like, one person I had that ended up in deportation. He was here since he was like 6 years old. But for some reason, and this is one thing I always encourage people, like, right now they changed the law where once you're underage and your parent become a citizen, you're a citizen. But before, a lot of individuals were here for years, like 20 odd years, with just a green card, and they make silly mistakes. Like this individual, he had several minor offenses. But the thing is that if you have a lot of minor offenses, they could look at it as if you are morally corrupt. They call it moral turpitude. That is a dragnet to deport people. Like they're saying you're not fit to be in our society. So because he had multiple minor offenses, like drug, marijuana, different things, they used it like his last arrest to say, all right, we're going to deport you. But he has been here since he was 6 years old, knows no one in Jamaica, because he has been here so long, has never been to Jamaica. But the thing was that nobody advised him to become a citizen. I doubt it. I think he actually thought he was a citizen, that he only had a green card. And because of that, he was placed in deportation. So you kind of feel bad that you don't know anybody in the country you're supposed to go to. But here you are going back to that country. But and the thing was that he was outside of the law in regards to where he would qualify to be a citizen under his parents. The year he was born put him outside of it. And that was a tough one because, like arguing for him and then knowing that it was really slim is kind of hard. So that's why I would recommend like people to get their citizenship. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want it, because you're not losing anything because you're Jamaican if you're from Jamaica. Go ahead and get it, because it's the only sure protection you have, because you can never tell what can happen. Like something can happen at any point. You never know. We all want the perfect life, and you just want to be protected. So those are two. One other one I did was I had a client from Niger, which was really heartbreaking because it was the first time I knew about female genital mutilation. And it was my first case that when I did it, I was shocked at the practice, but it was like a norm in their country. So, like you can't be too judgmental. It was a norm. And she actually left our country because she didn't want it to happen to her children. So she was seeking asylum. So that was a tough case, which they eventually got it, which was good, great. But the process and because she was Muslim, it was kind of hard to get her to do her physical with the doctors because, they have certain things within their religious practice that they don't believe. So to coerce her, not really coerce her, but to talk her into having her examination so we could build her case was really hard. But that was a tough one. And it opened my eyes up. And then I recently realized that it was not a major thing. I did that case like over 12 years ago. But now I realize that I'm looking at the new applications for green card for those coming in. They actually have it on the questionnaire, like if you were involved in female genital mutilation. So it's good that they're addressing those issues. You're muted.
Sorry, because of the bird in the background. Have you ever had a situation where a Jamaican is seeking asylum?
Yes, I've had. I do still have several.
We're talking into so much details. have they seeking political asylum from what? I mean, is it
Well, you
because
have
of
different, you
Mhm,
have different reasons. Because, like based on asylum, you have certain requirement, whether it's because of your political affiliation, your sexual orientation, and the
mhm,
group you belong into. So obviously, people are going to apply based on what they fall under the criteria.
mhm,
So it's really hard to prove, and oftentimes, but as long as you have evidence, but it's kind of hard to prove because of how, in my opinion, how they view Jamaica. Like,
mm,
yeah, you have the crime, but you can survive. You can live.
mhm.
So it's not like, so usually it's hard, but it's based on how they present their evidence and what they have witnessed, what has happened to them and their family. They're able to present their arguments to stay
Mhm,
here.
mhm,
The ones that are really were easier to get are those based on their sexual orientation because of the culture in Jamaica.
Right.
So that was really easier for somebody to get if they are,
Mhm,
because one case I've had, like, she was stabbed and everything else. So
mhm.
it was hard back then. But Jamaica has been working on improving on how they treat, how they interact with individuals based on their sexual orientation.
Mm.
So they are somewhat improved in Jamaica.
Have you ever gotten cases where you got your green card up here, but your spouse is treating you differently in the sense of maybe financially abusing you, if there's such a word?
Yeah, there is financial abuse. Yes, I've had several cases, which it's kind of hard, but I always explain to people because a lot of times the males are the one experiencing a lot of this. You
Mhm,
would think it would be women, but a lot of the males are experienced in a lot of these things: abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, where they're literally being abused. Like, I had one person where the woman like twisted his penis, like they wreck the car. Financially, they take all their money. When they work, they take all their money, don't give them the money, and spend it on what they feel like spending. They have the tax return, they file taxes, they take all their money. But the thing is that for men, I even tried talking to them to bring out the information because of how we have this macho personality with men. Like, they have to be tough, and
mhm,
they feel like if they say it, it shows that they're weak or being, like, I could say, sissy,
mhm,
and they don't want to look that way. So I have to come to a place like, like in normal, like, have to sit and take it,
mhm,
and like, you don't have to deal with it because of this ego thing where you think, I say, nobody gonna know what's happening. It's
mhm,
between you and immigration. So, but if it's happening to you, or like, sometimes these women will embarrass them in public and hit them and all these things.
mhm,
So, but usually once they get the green card, if I always say, do not have to sit in abuse, because the authorities that govern immigration understand that people do come here and they do get abused by individuals. So they create an option for them. If you're being
mhm,
abused, if you have a conditional green card, conditional is where you're married under 2 years. They give you a conditional green card to see how that marriage works for that 2 years. And then you remove the conditions and get your 10-year.
mm,
If you're going to remove it and your spouse refuses to sign the documents or refuse being abusive, there's an option for you
mhm,
where you can apply by yourself to remove the condition because you're being abused.
mhm,
Also, you have situations where the person tells you to come here, or they say they're going to get married, they're going to submit the documents, they don't do it, but yet still they're draining you, abusing you. You could self-petition for yourself to get your green card, and that is called VAWA.
mhm,
And the great thing about the VAWA is that, because a lot of time people go back home, is that you could actually apply for it outside of the US. You don't have to be here
mm,
if you're outside, but if you've been, it usually you have a 2-year window from when you're divorced, if you've been divorced from that person, to apply.
mhm,
But a lot of people always say, I'm going back home, or I don't want to deal with this. But if you're being abused but you want to go home, you could still apply for the VAWA. It will give you an entry to come back. And
mhm,
oftentimes when you see people going through deportation because of these same abuse things, where they're afraid or scared to say anything, and they're afraid to say anything to the police if they're being abused because they're like, oh, we don't have any papers, they might deport us. But one thing I've noticed is that within my community here, I'm in Florida, Jacksonville, they try to sensitize the police department of these issues. So even if you don't have any legal status, I'm sure it's the same across the US now, they don't look at it and say, because you're being abused and don't have any status, we're going to report it to ICE. They try to help you. They try to guide you. Oftentimes they have like certain attorneys that they reach out to and say, if you could help. So there are options for people where you don't have to sit and take abuse from anyone.
Sorry to cut you. Remember to say, would they reach out to the Jamaican Consul General and say, okay, is a Jamaican citizen here, blah, blah, blah. Do they do those things too?
They can reach out and tell them, but I don't, based on my understanding, it's limited as to what the council can do. Like they cannot outright recommend an attorney and say here's a, but they could give you guidance. But usually once a citizen is detained or anything, or if you have issues anywhere, the consulate is the first place to contact for guidance for any Jamaican anywhere in the world. That's where you go to if you need assistance with anything. The consulate.
With Jamaicans or say Caribbean nationals then? Not only Jamaicans alone, because I know you don't deal with only Jamaicans alone. You deal with other not Caribbean.
No, man, I deal with every country.
Every country, there you go. Yes.
All Honduras, Venezuela. I deal with all of them, man.
Okay.
Cuba. Everybody.
Tell us, how can they get in contact with you? And, you know, as a matter of fact, I think what I should do is literally open up the phone lines. We can take some questions, eh?
Yeah, we could take a few questions.
Yes.
I can be contacted. I'm on all social media at the Fanger Law Firm. Or you could call me at 904-930-0039. No, 904. Oh, that's your number. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or you could send me an email at admin@fangerlawfirm.com.
Spell Fanger. That because other people want to say it.
F as in Frank, ANGER.
Okay, so can you repeat all of that slowly for us, for those who are writing?
Okay, so you could find me on social media at the Fanger.
Is on Roots 90.
Oh, is that commercial time?
Yeah, commercial. Go ahead. No, forget about it. Go ahead.
Okay, the Fanger Law Firm on all social media. Or you could contact me at 904-930-0039. Or you could send an email to admin@fangerlawfirm.com.
Sorry about that. The bird flying all over.
Might enjoy the show.
Yes. For those who want to call in and ask questions from attorney at law Michelle Fanger, you can call 954-529-8030. That's 954-529-8030. If you have a question to ask, call her now. She can answer your question. And I think we're going to have a program on this, and the Make We Talk name Immigration Corner. I hope Michelle, you know, will come on and talk to us some more about what is going on and so forth. And how they can get...
Anytime invite me.
Yes.
I'll definitely come on.
So for those who want to call in and ask any questions pertaining to your, you don't have to give all the details, but call in and ask questions. Michelle can answer your questions. The number for the studio, the Make We Talk studio here, is 954-529-8030. I don't know if is Ruth FM back with us? Yes, Ruth FM is back with us. Miss Isis, can you give out the Ruth FM number for us, please?
Sure. It is 658-208-8512. That's 658-208-8512.
And that's 876, of course.
No, it's 658. The 876 has been taken up as much as possible.
You're on a new area code?
Right, here in Jamaica, yeah.
Banger.
Area code.
And that's 876, of course.
876 obviously still exists, but we have now also 658.
Yes. For those in Jamaica, you can call Roots FM studio number. It comes straight into us. We can ask the question, and attorney at law, Michelle, will answer the question for you. But the numbers for the Make We Talk studio here the number is 954-529-8030. 954-529-8030. Call in and ask any questions at all. She will answer your questions for you. And we're going to try and make this an annual thing where we have attorney at law come on and speak to us about immigration matters. Michelle, until we get some call coming, hopefully we do, tell us some more about immigration in the United States. What people should do and what they should not do. I mean, like, obviously, you must get a lawyer. Don't believe that you can do it by yourself. Ensure you get a lawyer. Is that so?
Yeah, I also recommend ensure you get a lawyer. Like, even if you don't use a lawyer to do the entire process, definitely consult one to go over your case with you to see if, at that point, you decide if you want to work with an attorney. But for them to go over your case with you to see if there's any issues that needs to be addressed before you actually submit the application. So it's always important. But what I always recommend for people coming here is that, one, be careful of where you go, what you do, because you never know what situation you put yourself in that could impact you later on if you want to get your status legalized. If you're going to go through marriage, ensure that, you pick the right person, but ensure that, that they look at it to see if it's a legitimate marriage. Just getting married for papers is a no-no, which will automatically put in deportation. Also, if you have minor children, I always say if you have the minor children, at the same time you do your documentation, also do your children documentation. Because you don't want them to be without status. And a lot of parents do that where children age out and they didn't even know that they didn't have any status. And also with your children, talk to them and highlight them of their position and their status. I say this because, like, if you have a child that has a green card, he don't know he has a green card, you think he's a citizen, and he's hanging with his friends, getting into trouble, all these things. And then when you look, which has happened to a client of mine, they are a citizen, they could go home, but then he has a green card, end up deported. But he wasn't aware he wasn't a citizen. So talk to your children about the process that they're going through so they understand their position, so they could govern themselves accordingly and handle themselves accordingly. All right. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When you're coming through to the US, usually you come through the border where you're inspected. Ensure that when you're coming through the border, oftentimes people will be coming here for various reasons, but you have to be mindful of the visa you're traveling on. So if you're coming here on a visitor's visa, you're only supposed to come here to visit. You're not supposed to come here to work. And I've seen a lot of instances where people are being asked questions like, what are you coming here for? And they're like, oh, I'm just coming here to hang out. But then they have proof in their phones, which they do search your phone, that say you're coming to work. So that happened where they revoke your visa, send you back home, and then it prevents you from actually getting any form of status later on to come back to the United States. So just be mindful of that. If you want to come here for work, there's a work visa that you can apply for.
And what is the procedure applying for that?
Well, a lot of employers are hiring from Jamaica for like hotels, for like the seasonal. So you just need to connect with one, and you're able to get it. So
what's going on here? I think we have lost Michelle.
Various platforms.
Okay,
so they're able to assist you. Like, you come here on a student visa. If you want to go to school, you can come here on a student visa. Look into the school you want to go to, and then come here to attend the school. Another thing that people don't know is that you could actually petition for yourself to get a green card. A lot of people always say, oh, I don't have any family or a sponsor from my employer, but you could petition for yourself to get a green card if you have certain extraordinary abilities.
How do you do about, doing that?
I can't hear you.
How do you go about doing that?
I can't hear you. You mute?
I'm not muted. I don't know what's going on. Are you hearing me now?
I can't hear you now.
Good
While
girl.
you figure out that, let me go and talk
Go ahead.
about ways on which you could get your green card if you have extraordinary skills. So for some people, if you're an athlete or you are a professor or an
Are you hearing me
entertainer,
now?
which you have certain skills, you're able to petition if you could prove to immigration that you are of this extraordinary skills, which you have certain criteria to meet.
Mhm.
Also, you can get it through investment here if you're able to get the money or open a business and you can show that you make money for the US, then you're able to do that. It might sound simple, like I'm just talking because it's a short show, but there are certain steps you have to take to ensure, which is possible and it has been done. And a lot of people don't know it's available to them, especially like a lot of professors don't know that it is available to them. So that's an option for people. So if you don't have, a family member to do it or an employer.
Are you hearing me now, Michelle?
I still can't hear you.
I
And
think
also
there's
another way,
I think there's something wrong with your system, because everybody else is hearing me.
hold on. You can't hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Yes.
Should I log off and come back on?
Please, yes. Yes. We're speaking to attorney at law Michelle Fanger.Esq. She's also a family lawyer, immigration and family law. She does immigration and family law. We're speaking to her about how do you get a green card within the United States and, on your citizenship and what you should do and what you should not do. We're live on Route 96.1 FM, the voice of the inner city. Let's see, get back Michelle in here.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, are you hearing me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. So you couldn't hear me the whole time I talk?
No, I was hearing you all along, but you couldn't hear me.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I guess maybe something happened.
Yes.
But that's going to talk about another thing for people that a lot of people are not aware of.
You're gone again, Michelle. Your audio is gone. I can't hear you. Now you're gone. Don't know what's going on. Are you hearing me? I don't know what's going on. If you can, Michelle, log back out and come back in because I don't know what's going on, but everybody else is hearing me. I think there's something with your system. Come off and come back on. Come off and come back on if you can hear me. We're speaking to Michelle Farrer, Esquire, attorney at law. Unmute your mic, Michelle.
I just did. Are you hearing me?
Okay, there you go. I'm hearing you now.
Yeah. So I'm saying that you have a special visa for people to get green card if you have experienced any crime against you. It's a process, but it's called a U visa, or if you are a victim of labor trafficking, where people, like unlawfully, you're working for people overworked, underpaid, you're able to get your green card through that process. A lot of people are not aware of that. So they will say in situations where they are abused.
So what you're saying to us, Michelle, that if a person is working with someone and you're underpaid, overworked, if you report that, you can automatically apply for your green card through that?
Yes, but it's a process. But you have to report them, tell exactly how, prove it. But that's a step. A lot of people are not aware of it, that you're able to get your green card. And if you are a victim of a crime where you help law enforcement, then you're able to get your green card. A lot of people are not aware those things exist.
If you're a victim of a what, a crime?
Crime.
Expand some more on that.
Say, for instance, if you're a victim of a robbery or rape or some, and you help law enforcement, you could get a certification. It's a step-by-step process. But it is available for people who are victims because they do know that immigrants are being abused. And a lot of crimes occur against them, and they're fearful of reporting these crimes. So that's why I say the government is kind of understanding of what immigrants go through. But it's, to me, that's why I say it's important to speak to an attorney, whether by consultation, where they're able to go through the facts of your life, whatever you're going through, to let you know what benefits you're entitled to, if anything. Because right now there isn't a big dragnet of where they're saying, because I know like the last election, they said there's a pathway to citizenship. If you are here for a certain period of time, you're able to, they're going to set it up where you could, like for 3 years, pay a fine, pay your taxes, and you get your green card and you get the citizenship. We have seen that since Biden has won, nothing has happened in that regard. So it's not like there's a big thing to fix the immigration issue. But there are little things.
Hold on for me, Michelle. What you're saying that since President Biden came in, there's a pathway to citizenship. That's what you're saying?
There was a proposed when he was
Proposed,
running,
okay.
but nothing has happened since.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is that there isn't a big fix yet, but there are little things that already exist within the immigration laws that will allow individuals to get benefits. But a lot of people are not aware of them because they only usually highlight, oh, you have to get it through a family or maybe an employer. So they don't know other things exist for them.
And if you, for instance, saying that, I remember an incident in France wherein a young man ended up climbing up a building to assist a baby who was falling out through the window, and French President Macron, I think, gave him citizenship. Do you believe that's something that could happen to somebody? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there are compassion things that they could do for you. They'll try to see what they could fit you in, where you could get it. So yeah, there are things that could be done.
Okay. Well, Michelle, give us back your number, your handles, and your email address and so forth where people can reach you.
Okay, so I could be reached on social media at the Fanger Law Firm. I'm on all social media platforms. Or you could call me at 904-930-0039. Or you could email me at admin@fangerlawfirm.com. Let me repeat the number.
Please, a little bit slower.
904-930-0039. I have WhatsApp, so if you want to call me by WhatsApp, you definitely can. If you don't get me, you could leave a message and I'll definitely get back to you or my assistant. Or you could find me on social media at the Fanger Law Firm. You could send a message through social media. I'll definitely respond. Okay.
Michelle, I want to tell you thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
We're getting a wrap-up signal from Roots FM. I want to tell you thanks for coming on. And don't be a stranger now. If there's any issues that you want to speak about pertaining to immigration, so that Jamaican people know, my program is always open for you to come on.
Okay, definitely will. But one important thing I want to let everybody know, if you intend to petition right now, fees are increasing April 1st.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, usually, immigration fund themselves. So they really get funded by the application fees. So they intend to increase the fees April 1st. I don't have the numbers in front of me. So a couple hundred more on each application. So if you know money is a problem, you intend to petition, go ahead and try to get in those applications before April 1st.
So you're saying to me that if a petition for green card or citizenship, all of those are going up?
Yeah, the fees are increasing.
Okay.
All right, April 1st. So that's an important nugget. So govern yourself if you intend to petition. Okay.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much for coming on to the Make We Talk program.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Michelle Fanger there from the Fanger Law Firm, speaking to us about immigration law. This evening, we're going to come on the program here. We're going to go back to some local government issues. We're going to speak about that. We're going to talk to our fellow Jamaicans pertaining to the rights to vote. It is your fundamental right to exercise your voting franchise. So make sure you go out and vote on February 6th for the local government election. We're trying to get somebody on to speak to us more about the role of local government, the role of councillors and mayors, because a lot of Jamaicans don't understand the role of a council and the role of a mayor. So we're trying to get someone to come on to speak to us some more about that. For those who want to know more about your local government and also want to know more about central government, because a lot of Jamaicans are voting and they don't understand one thing they're voting for, but they just vote because it's their party. I think the time has come for all of us to vote for our country and start voting for party. So this afternoon or this evening, I am working on it to get someone to come and speak to us some more about local government. Let me have a little chit chat. Miss Isis, how are you doing? Miss Isis, you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Miss Isis, what is going on? Are you seeing a lot of campaigning going on in Jamaica right now?
Not right now. I mean, nomination day, of course, obviously, yes, but not necessarily right now. I think that it would, after we pass what Ash Wednesday tomorrow, we're very religious people.
Yes.
It's more subdued, and Valentine's Day and all that lovey-dovey. So I think maybe after all of that, it will spike up again for the. I think you said this the 6th, but it's actually the 26th.
Yes, sorry, the 26th of February. I'm sorry, 26th of February.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, not so much right now. I'm not observing that. But after tomorrow, I'm sure it will come up again.
Right, and I'm pretty much sure the airways are bombarded with a lot of ads from both political parties, eh?
Oh yes, because you know how that goes. Definitely. I wish we could get some of them. We need some of them, please, folks. We've been trying to get.
Let me talk to you guys off air. Maybe I can give you 2 numbers to call.
Right.
To speak to some people, because I know I'm speaking to somebody pertaining to it.
Right.
So let me speak to you off air pertaining to who you can maybe reach out to ask if they can assist in helping Roots 96.1 FM, the voice of the inner city. Of course, Roots FM is owned by the Mustard Seed Communities. And the Mustard Seed Communities is a volunteer organization where they assist. Ms. Isis, tell me some more about it, because I may end up saying something that I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, the Mustard Seed Communities has been around for over 40 odd years, and the basic mandate is caring, sharing, and training, and caring and sharing and training for mentally and physically disabled children. And also, we don't just kick them to the curb when they get old and they grow, because they grow, right? We have to take care of them right through, even when they're adults, even though they become more, self-sufficient as they get older. So that is a basic mandate. And we have about 12, 13 apostolates here in Jamaica, and we also have apostolates in the United States of America, Dominican Republic, in Africa, Zimbabwe, and some other places as well. So basically, it's a non-governmental organization to take care of mentally and physically disabled children, for want of a better word, and also pregnant teens. That's my personal charity. And that pregnant teens, self-explanatory. Yeah. So it's multifaceted and doing an awesome work for not only Jamaica but across the world. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Miss Isis. We're gonna say so long to Roots FM, but join us again when we're gonna have Michelle or some other lawyer to come on and speak to us about immigration law. It's a new thing we're gonna have here in the Make We Talk program. Hopefully, we can get somebody to sponsor the program and help the needed children there at Roots at Mustard Seed Communities. I'm working on that, and hopefully we can get that done. But join us this evening at 7 o'clock, or before that, when we'll be speaking some more about local government election. Of course, Make We Talk will be bringing the debate to you live. I don't know if we can get some sponsor to bring it live on Roots FM too. Hopefully we can do that. Hey, Miss Isis?
Yeah, that's something that we need to look into, because we don't have much time. Yeah, that would be great. We need the sponsorship. For
Yes,
sure.
to bring in both the local government debate and also the local government election on February 26th.
Mm-hmm.
That's next week. So next week Monday, eh?
No.
We have a week Monday.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
We have a week Monday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna work on that also. But join me this evening at 7 o'clock when I come to you once more with Election Watch 2024, local government election watch 2024. On behalf of all of us here, on behalf of my producer, although he's no longer at Roots FM, Owen Brown, I am Jeffrey Tavares saying so long and return to the studios of Roots 96.1 FM. Miss Isis, take it away.
When the game gets rough in the